Hey, what's up guys? So we're going to be doing a double deck profile today. We're going to be going over a burn deck as well as a heal deck that is technically still kind of burned. Now, if you guys haven't seen these decks in action, I'm going to link it down below. They battled and it was a really cool hype duel. Really surprising ending. Like I said, if you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I'll leave a link down below in that description box so you guys can see both of the decks in action facing off against each other. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile. So like I said, this is a double deck profile. We're going to be going over the burn one and then we'll go over the heal one. We'll talk a little bit about them, maybe some play choices over here. And I can make suggestions. Now, the burn deck has actually topped a few times. I just uploaded 2 deck profiles of the whole Trickstar archetype, and like I said, this deck is actually doing quite well. There is a card that I will recommend you guys to try out. But anyways, first off, this one is playing Brilliant Fusion. This is actually a pretty cool addition to the deck because you can really utilize summoning multiple times in this deck. We got double summon and of course chain strike and chain summoning, so you can do a lot of shenanigans to your opponent. But anyways, let's get started with the burn deck profile. So first off, we got 1 Gem Knight Garnet triple Kadinas, 2 copies of Honest, 2 copies of the Trickstar Lycro, and then we got 1 Lily Bound. Then we got 2 copies of Pot of Desires, 2 copies of Double Summon, Double Demise, 2 copies of Terraforming, 2 copies of Chain Summoning, 2 copies of Chain Strike, 1 Brilliant Fusion, triple Dark Room of Nightmare, 3 copies of Trickstar Light Stage, 3 copies of Trickster Reincarnation. This card should legit be at once per turn. Then we have Present Card, and then we have 2 copies of Blazing Mirror Force, and then we have 3 copies of Disturbance Strategy. So these all basically let you burn your opponent for game. Now, I kind of like the addition of the Blazing Mirror Force. However, if you run a lot of traps, you don't have the potential to run the hand trap, which is actually called Droll and Lockbird. You might just be kind of out of room. And also, if you're running Demise, yeah, that can be a problem as well, because you need to draw as many cards as possible. I guess if you have Droll and Lockbird, then it doesn't really matter, but ideally you want to be able to draw into as many cards as possible with cards of Demise. But anyways, Droll and Lockbird is an excellent card because you can actually use it in combination with the cards that recycle. So Droll and Lockbird makes it so if your opponent adds a card or cards from their deck to their hand except during the draw phase, you can send this card from your hand to the grave for the rest of the turn. Neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand. So basically what you do is you make them proc the effect of somehow drawing a card, which is, there's a lot of cards in here that you do that, and then you make it so they can't do any more drawing because you're going to activate another one, and then they're just out of cards. So you're basically, your opponent has 0 cards when they start the duel. It's a really mean and nasty thing to do, but it can definitely happen with, of course, Disturbance Strategy. But you can technically do it with other cards. But yeah, like I said, it's really dirty indeed. But as far as the extra deck, you really don't need too many things in this deck. I definitely recommend at least playing a Cowboy and the Gem Knight if you are playing the Brilliant Fusion build. But other than that, it's just a bunch of generic rank 4 monsters. Now moving on to the heal deck. So like I said, this one is a heal / burn deck. Guys, watch the duel because it was really cool. So this is a little bit of a older deck, but I mean, you know, some people still like the idea of a Grinder Golem OTK. It's basically like a way where you kind of deck your opponent out in a sense, but it's got the ability to actually just duel. But I mean, the way it usually wins is it heals up for so much life points that your opponent just quits the duel. Like, I've seen a lot of times where, you know, you get like 30,000 life points because of this, and the opponent's like, dude, I don't even want to try anymore. But anyways, we got the Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the beginning, because it is a deck that can revolve around banishing stuff. They have 2 copies of Grinder Golem, so the whole idea is to heal up for a bunch of life points, then get rid of all of your opponent's monsters, and they have to utilize what they have in their hand, and usually you can just win because of the combo with Inferno Tempest plus Grinder Golem. Let me put these cards right next to each other because this is kind of how it works. Now, I'm not sure if we saw it in the replay, but to sum it up, basically you get rid of all your opponent's monsters in their deck. So what you do is you give them Grinder Golem. It is a 3,000 attacker, and then you get 2 tokens. So what you do with the tokens, in the future, you might be able to actually utilize it with Link Summoning, which can actually be pretty dirty later on in the game. But anyways, so you're going to be taking 3,000 points of damage, and it's okay because you have a lot of cards that can heal you up. But anyways, Inferno Tempest allows you to make it so you get rid of all of the monsters in each player's deck and graveyard. So you have to take 3,000 or more battle damage, and Grinder Golem just lets you do that really fast, and it'll give them the monster. Although most of the time when people see Grinder Golem, they expect the Inferno Tempest, so just keep that in mind as well. But yeah, who knows? Maybe with link summoning, people will try to use Grinder Golem just so they can actually just get 2 tokens. But if you special summon this monster, you can't normal summon or set. But I mean, you can still special summon multiple times. Yeah, that is Grinder Golem. And then we have DD Survivor. So basically, the idea is to have cards just keep on coming back over and over. Now, DD Warrior Lady, this card at one point I believe it was at 1, but the game has gotten a lot faster. Just as a heads up, I would suggest if you guys want to actually win, to play the burn deck, because that deck is already technically topped in the OCG. We don't have it yet in the TCG, but nonetheless, this one is a kind of an outdated deck, but I understand sometimes people just want to go back to some of these older decks and just try them out. Now, next up we have Necroface. This card has been in a lot of FTKs and crazy stuff, but what it does is it shuffles all banished cards into the deck, then it gains a bunch of attack for each card shuffle into the main deck by this effect. So all those monsters that you banish with Inferno Tempest, technically the goal can be to make it so your opponent has no monsters and you just kind of win because you have a bunch of monsters and they don't. But with Necroface, you can put them all back and then one-shot your opponent. But anyways, next up we have 2 copies of Banish for the Radiant, so any card that is sent to the graveyard is banished instead. So this will actually help you heal up with your Soul of Absorption. Banisher of Light, that's kind of the same thing, although Banisher actually has more attack. This card does have more defense, but people generally just don't set cards. I remember at one point in the OCG, people were side decking this against Lightsworn. But because they would attack into it, it would flip up, and then during the end phase, the Lightsworn player would start banishing all their cards. I didn't really like that tech, but I have seen it before. But I know Lightsworn will get more popular, but I don't really recommend it. I think it's just too outdated of a card. I think if you really want to, Banisher is just a card I could suggest over it. Next up, we got the 1 Allure of Darkness. I would have thought he would have put way more in. It's at 3 right now in the TCG, so if you guys want to just put in some extra Allure of Darknesses, because one thing you can do, you can Gold Sark for Necroface, then you start banishing cards, then you Allure of Darkness, the Necroface, banish some more cards. It has a little bit of potential there. Next up, we have Soul Release, so you target up to 5 cards in any graveyards and just banish them, so it can help you out with healing as well. Next up, we have the Raigeki. So again, going back to the same point, you heal for a bunch of life points, and if your opponent maybe did a bunch of damage to you, they have monsters out on the board, you find the Raigeki them next turn after you got hit by a Grinder Golem, and they have to utilize what monsters they have in their hand. And if you have a lot of life points, you'll be good to go with maybe like a back row or 2, because what they have in their hand is basically what they have to beat you with as far as monsters go. Obviously, there's some decks that don't really need monsters, but that's very few. There's very few decks that don't need monsters to function. But anyways, next up we have 2 copies of Gold Sarcophagus. It's actually at 3 right now. But anyways, next up we got 2 copies of Inferno Tempest. That is what you do with a Grinder Golem. And then we have 2 copies of Demise of the Land. So you activate only when your opponent special summons a monster. You just select a field spell card from your deck and activate it. And pretty much that's going to be relevant in every duel these days. The anti-meta is not the most hot deck right now, but I would kind of consider this an anti-ish meta deck, because at the end of the day, Defissure, Macro, those are anti-meta cards. But this lets you go for the field spell, which we'll get into in a second. But anyways, next up we have 3 copies of Soul Absorption. This is what lets you heal for insane amounts of life points, because a lot of people are playing Pot of Desires, and once it gets its reprint, a lot more players will be playing it. And on top of that, they activate Pot of Desires. You're going to be healing up, for 5,000 life points. As you guys saw in the replay, that can be quite big. And then next up we got the Defissure, and then we have 2 copies of Chaos Zone. So each time a monster is banished, you can place a Chaos counter on this card for each of those monsters. Then once per turn, you can remove 4 or more Chaos counters from your side of the field to target a banished monster with a level equal to the number of Chaos counters removed, and then you can just special summon that. So that's not just a banished monster from your banished zone, but that can be from your opponent's as well. And then when it is destroyed, when this card on the field is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect, you get to target or add 1 light or dark monster from your deck to your hand whose level is less than or equal to the number of chaos counters. So if they destroy it or get rid of it, you're going to get a bonus effect, and every single turn, if there's a lot of cards that get banished, I mean, heck, you can go for a lot of potential boss monsters with this card. Next up, we have the DD Dynamite. This can go with the Grinder Golem, kind of like explode and just win games on its own. It's like one of those cards. But next up, we have a Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 copies of Dimensional Prison, 2 copies of Karma Cut. I feel like Karma Cut might be a little bit outdated because you do have to discard a card, and anti-meta generally doesn't have too many cards that can gain free advantage off of that, so I'm not sure if I can really recommend this card. But next up, we have the Macrocosmos, 2 copies of Safe Zone to potentially protect your cards. And then we have 2 copies of Debunk. So if anything would be activated in the hand or graveyard, you get to banish that card, and obviously that's going to help out with the whole healing in the game. As far as the extra deck, just a bunch of generic rank 4s. There's not anything special that you need in here. There is the Utopia Roots though. There was another card. I don't think it's going to be meta, but is it? No, it's like that Scout Plane. There's a card called DD Scout Plane. So once per turn during the end phase, if it was banished, you can just special summon in face-up attack position. So this card can be a card that you can reoccur. I know that there was a thing a long time ago called like Macro Monarchs that was using this card, but I think it's pretty much outclassed. If there's any suggestions you guys have for either one of the burn or heal decks, let me know down below in the comment section below. But hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing. Well, I mean, the burn deck is legit. The heal deck, I think it's just more trollsy. It's more for fun. But I mean, like I said, sometimes you heal for too many life points. It can be pretty deadly, and it has the win factor of the Grinder Golem shutdown, and you have win conditions off of DD Dynamite. So there's a little bit of play, and it's more of a fun deck than anything as far as the heal deck goes. But if you want to be winning those games, I think the burn deck is definitely the way to go. But definitely consider Duel and Lockbird. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing both those deck profiles, because a lot of you guys wanted me to upload it. But thanks for watching, guys, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for more crazy Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profiles.